First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate any opportunity to present my case to the voters as to why I'm best suited to be governor of Rhode Island. You know, I thought long and hard prior to deciding to run this year if in fact voters were ready for a true leader. Were they going to go for gimmicks? Were they going to go for the same old conversations? Or were they really ready for a true leader? And so I hope that voters this year are ready for a combat veteran, are ready for someone who built $1 billion company, are ready for someone who immigrated to this country, grew up in a blue-collar community like West Warwick, someone who went to the state university, someone who's been through the Wharton School of Business, and someone who has 5 children. If you're ready for that kind of leader, then I hope you're ready for me, because we're going to change Rhode Island. You know, the Paw Sox were an institution in Rhode Island. Obviously, they'll still be for a couple more years. But the fact is, you know, I fall on the side of private businesses should not be subsidized by the government, period. I just don't believe it. I think there was a price tag that, you know, certainly professionals were involved in the decision making. They knew the price tag, and they should have done and had these conversations prior to buying the team, if that was part and parcel to remaining in Rhode Island. Those conversations were not done, and frankly, the citizens of Rhode Island cannot be, for the umpteenth time, presented with only one option, which is take it or leave it. And it's too bad, because I really feel that the business itself made an emotional decision. It did not make a business decision. A business decision does not take you to a community that's half the size of what you're in. A business decision doesn't take you away in a manner in which, you know, upsets half the fan base you would need to even show up. So I don't know that the last chapter's been written, but if it has, then the people who really should be paying attention to this are the people of Worcester, because they are now on the hook for about $100 million in an unknown situation. So, love the Paw Sox, wish they were here, but as a professional businessman who created 4,000 jobs in $1 billion company without any state money, I personally would not have been part of trying to give them money. You know, frankly, I'm surprised that Alan's not here. I've supported Alan in the past, donated a lot of money to him. I think he's done a good job in certain areas, but at the same time, leadership is what this election has to be about. It is paramount in your decision-making process. So I just don't know how anybody in their mind, other than being friends or family, can reconcile the fact that you're going to support someone who wouldn't even show up to this small 1-hour debate. Like, how in the world would you give confidence when it comes to multi-billion-dollar decisions, growing thousands of jobs in the future, handling the lives of many in your own hands? What does that represent when someone won't even come to a quick 45-minute, 1-hour opportunity to present their case to the voters of Rhode Island? So I'm going to stay, the course when it comes to my professional demeanor and wanting to make sure you understand how important it is that I can create a new economy for Rhode Island. I want you to focus on the fact that I have leadership training that I've developed and literally graduated with from John F. Kennedy Warfare Center and School in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, or through the Advanced Management Program at the Wharton School of Business. All the things that have made me become this big decision maker, and really good one. But at the end of the day, also remember, it was, being in that second grade class at the Parents Teachers Conference, where I had to speak on behalf of my parents who didn't speak English at the time, but we went to night school so that we could learn. To still be that authority in that, trusted party that the information we're receiving was in fact going to make us realize the American dream. So As a leader, I'm certainly disappointed in Ellen, and I don't think that not being here should be reflected as anything but a very negative, check on his opportunity or his consideration. It's sad to know that people don't know how to build companies in Rhode Island. Reality is you have to have a vision. You have to have an understanding of what is important to people. Some of that's economic. For a lot of people, it's upward mobility. For others, it's the understanding that they're participating in a great cause. And so, I've always been blessed to be a visionary. I work backwards. It's backwards planning into an objective. I create large opportunities for people. And that's what I did. I focused on the blockchain because I know what it is. I know where it's going to take us, and I know what's going to make us the #1 state in the country. So, again, we can talk in kind of circles because the caliber of candidates is not where we need it to be. But, and I mean that respectfully. Again, I know it may sound weird. I'm not knocking someone personally. I'm just saying their experience. There's nothing in Patricia's background, zero, that would say this person can run more than 3 people. Matter of fact, she had 5, and I understand that they fired 6. So I don't even know how that works. Okay, so people can look. There's she had 4 people on the staff, and she fired 5. So I don't even know how that works.
I don't know where he gets his numbers or his information from, but they're totally off the wall. First of all. Secondly, we need more jobs in Rhode Island. Our poor people just don't have the opportunities that they once did. And as your governor, I'll make sure that our state will prosper once again. We're going to lower the tax rates. We're going to keep our students here. We're going to grow new businesses, not with these pie-in-the-sky schemes that my opponent seems to think are a good idea that nobody's ever heard about. And, that's great that he's gone to these various schools and achieved, we don't know what level he's graduated at out of 300 students. Who knows where he was listed there, but we'll have to take his word that he was able to graduate successfully, and that's a good thing. So, yeah, I am the tried and true candidate.
Well, let me save you time, okay? I'm a proud C student, okay? Because if you know the rules that have always worked, is A and B students work for C students, okay? So that's always worked in life. No, the reality is that Forbes told you what I did. Inc. Magazine told you what I did, okay? So, why don't you cut the act now and stop making fun of an immigrant from Rhode Island who grew up, working 4 jobs before the time he was 15, and finally went to college as one of the first 2 in his family, and then went and joined the military. I served for 24 years, which I don't think you served in any military capacity. Who's been to war on behalf of the country, who built an economy for Rhode Island based on 4,000 jobs. And for you to trash me by trying to even suggest, okay, that I've not accomplished anything, it's quite telling of really what it is that you are.
My family was immigrants. My grandfather came over from wherever, let's call it Wales, in the 1800s, and God bless him, he and my grandmother met in downtown Providence, and they raised 5 children on a small farm in Tiverton, and they were very hardworking and very successful. They raised my parents, and my parents raised us to be productive citizens. And I wish that for everyone here in Rhode Island. I think it's a travesty that people come here without proper documents. And I disagree with the governor's choice of not working with the immigration and naturalization officials, and find it's very uncomfortable for everyone involved. So I would work closely with the law enforcement, as well as trying both to support the programs that exist, and maybe create other programs that would help these legal immigrants that are here. I don't have much sympathy for the illegal immigrants, however. It's sad, but it's a reality that we'll have to live with. It's very
First of all, we're only talking about illegal immigrants, and if that's the issue, you better not be talking about legal immigrants as the issue, otherwise there's a problem, right? So, reality is, listen, I'm a legal immigrant. I'm someone who came through the process, became a citizen of this nation, served this nation, love this country. My message is clear. I think the disconnect is that those that are here, and this is important to understand, those that are here, legally and illegally, need to make the United States of America first and foremost in who they serve. Once that's understood, then the laws of this nation will be followed. The respect of our borders will be intact. And more importantly, we understand that becoming Americanized is what is part and parcel to living the American dream. What's happening now is a situation where people want to create other nations in the United States. That's where I see it. I know people don't talk about it, but I'll talk about it. I want people to have an American flag next to that other nation if they want to promote that club. Not just show that the other nation's flag. I don't want a language to be coming before the English language. I remember going to night school with my parents, learning the American English, the language, and knowing for a fact that we had made it. And just lastly, it's common sense. We wouldn't be going to another nation and not learning the language. We wouldn't go move to Italy and live in Rome and not learn Italian, or move to Paris and not learn French. It's just a really just odd situation. And I'm telling everybody out there, especially the Hispanic community, English, loving the United States, America first is a program to prosperity. One of the things that I really feel Rhode Islanders can take advantage of is if in fact they elect leaders and not just people who present themselves for office. Although, Patricia's to be admired for, a lot of the work she's done. The reality is we just have two different skill sets. I come from very large decision-making bodies, be it at United States Central Command or in war, or, building $1 billion company and being on the highest floor of the biggest financial institutions in the world. We just look at things differently. So, yes, tolls are not something I think the everyday Rhode Islander certainly wants. I certainly don't. But the reality is, they've begun to be built. The governor's implemented it. The infrastructure is going to be in place. Things are underway. So what I choose to do is figure out how do we really react and create a better situation. And so I've begun studying, and I think I found the solution. Part of our problem is really congestion on the highways. And so what I'm going to be doing is getting in serious discussions with private companies that are willing to build a fast lane. So by creating an optional fast lane, which you will decide if you want to pay $5 to go in that lane, go into that extra lane to decrease congestion, move on up. These model highways are being built across the country. And so again, this is another example of what a real leader does, and that is how do we create new revenue, how do we create more money to fix existing highways, but more importantly, eliminate congestion when it comes to traffic and getting people to work.
If I could just reply to that. You know, Giovanni's been on the top floor of this bank or that bank. You know, elevators go to every floor. And I've actually been in the state legislature fighting for the people of Rhode Island while he was out goofing around with whatever company he happened to be destroying at the time. And please let me let you know that I would never break the trust of the people of Rhode Island by running us through some sort of silly nonsense of giant construction program that would waste billions of dollars.
So, you know, let me say that this is, you know, it's really tragic when you have, you know, people willing to say anything to win. The reality is that Patricia has never made a large decision in her life. And we know, based historically, that 3,000 people in a small community should not be in charge of all the decisions in the state. And that's what we have here. We have another example where I've hired more people than have elected her to office.
Oh, wait.
That's how crazy that the differential is. So, you know, with that said, just understand that, you know, I've watched the legislature in action. We watch it on TV. So I wouldn't exactly be, you know, promoting yourself as having been part of this brain, you know, think tank. So that said, you know, I stand on my accomplishments. Well, I just want to thank WPRO for the opportunity to be here today. I want to thank all the listeners for, you know, giving me your time and us your time. I wish, obviously, all three candidates were here. But at the end of the day, you know, you're going to have a choice this year. I wanted to make sure, despite, you know, the hardships that I've certainly have been through in the past and I've read about every day as part of the process, you know, gave you someone that truly fit what I called leadership and experience. Someone who, you know, is a combat veteran, someone who went to the University of Rhode Island, Wharton School of Business, built a billion-dollar company, had small businesses, has 5 kids, and more importantly, you know, can make the big decisions you need and build the economy that our families need. So this year, you'll have a choice: politicians or a leader. That'll be your choice, and I hope you select me, the leader, for your government.